Hello there, and welcome to Ingress Point. Today I'm going to have a look at squad building with the recently fully spoiled Spectre Cell, and have a quick think about what the best way to build squads around these guys is. So, let's jump right in. I think you take all of them. Okay, see ya. Okay, couldn't resist. So yeah, if we're looking at Spectre Cell, obviously the first instinct you're going to have is probably to take all of them because they're very highly synergistic with each other. But that's obvious, maybe even a little bit boring from a video point of view. So the questions I want to ask is, who else do you put in and who leaves? So, who complements them? Can they exist independently of all the other Spectre Cell members? So let's jump in to some example squads. The first few just looking at single character swaps. So, this is the first one I wanted to talk about. So, we've got Kanan, Sabine, Zeb, Ezra, Chopper, and we've swapped out Hera for General Solo. So, I'm just looking at this. I've put Sabine in with Kanan, but Ezra should probably be in with Kanan because he would then be able to benefit from having a Force user close by. But that's just a quick thing. So, you'll notice I've swapped out Hera as primary. I think Hera is definitely good, and her ability that lets you unwound something and move it to contest an objective is really strong. But I also think she is the hardest one to use, just because she's quite low damage. So I'm kind of going for smooth brain, want to do lots of shooty, pew pew. So there's kind of one main reason I've gone in for Solo. And I've kept everyone else Spectre Cell, and that is these two identities. So if we look at Han Solo's identity up top, the bit I'm interested in is when an allied unit is wounded, Han Solo gets to make a 5-dice attack targeting the enemy character that caused the effect. Also, when an allied Rebel Alliance unit, which everyone in this squad is wounded, Kanan gets to heal, jump, and then if the wounded unit is Spectre, he can make a 5-dice attack. So basically, if one of your guys gets wounded, anyone other than General Solo gets wounded, you get to do 2 attacks in response. One from Solo to whoever did the wounding, and then Kanan just gets to jump and shoot somebody else. It is notable that Kanan can do either a melee or a ranged. It's really nice flexibility, and I don't think it's something we've had in these kind of revenge attacks before. So I just think that's super strong. And I think Kanan's identity is probably the most appealing part of Spectre Cell to me. And I think you want to maximise that and keep everyone else as Spectre, probably. I think it's probably still fine to maybe swap out Zeb or Chopper, whoever you favour least, for Rebel Commando, say, or something like that. And play around with how many Spectre exactly you take. But I just think this is very powerful. We've seen it with Dooku Talzin being a very strong combo, and I think this is, these two identities versus those responses are stronger, I think, in isolation. It's just a question of if the squads themselves are stronger around them. But yeah, this is probably one of the first things I'm going to try playing with all the new Rebel stuff. Right, let's move on. Next one, again, swapping out Hera because I want to hit stuff with my laser sword. So it's Darth Vader. I think Darth Vader is always a character you're going to think about when it comes to Star Wars Shatterpoint, just because he's so good and his identity especially is so good. And also because of the eras he stretches across, you can just pop him in with all of Spectre Cell. Although you do have to swap out and put in Lando and R2-D2 just because he has 7 squad points. But there's a couple of things I think why Vader is particularly good with these guys. So if we look at Ezra, he's just got a really good tree. I'm covering his expertise, apologies there, but it's good. He also gets extra momentum for wounding supports, so you want to be getting those extra dice, getting those extra wounds, getting those extra momentum. I just think he's really good. He's also got heals, so he can heal off the damage he's taking from Vader. Vader's a Force user, so he's getting his free jump. I just think that's a good combo. Lando and R2-D2 I think also do well with Vader because they've got quite a lot of damage in their tree. They're not going to be able to hit it on their own a lot of the time. But if you start comboing in Vader's identity and their own element of surprise ability to get extra dice, you can really put out a lot of damage with these guys. And I think they are interesting. Although they are fragile, so don't expect to be playing them aggressively with Vader and for them to be not evaporating, basically. And then if we look at the big man, Kanan, both of Kanan's trees are excellent, I think. His pack leader has got lots of damage. His Sarasu has got lots of different, shoves or abilities, moves. He gets, with Vader, he can get his free force push easily. And he's got excellent expertise. I mean, his starting dice total is 8 on his Form 3 Sarasu. I think he's just a good character, and I think Vader just bumps up what makes him good. So I think that's definitely a contender for a squad you might see knocking around. When I was looking at the squad, I did take out Chopper instead of Zeb, but I'm not sure that's correct. I don't know who I prefer over Chopper or Zeb yet. That's going to need some table time. They both seem fine. I quite like Chopper because he gets to do his free active ability at the end of his tree, and you just get to hand out a lot of conditions, which it can be quite crippling to an opponent and makes up for the fact that you're not doing that much damage just with your single character support. Okay, so that's kind of a first single character swap. If we're doing a bit more, can we go cross era? So I think this is tricky because so much of the Rebels obviously have synergies based on the Rebel Alliance keyword. But this is kind of what I came up with. You're basically... I mean, Kanan and Plo are very similar. But essentially you're just playing these guys as two halves of the board, right? Kanan deploys, say, on your left or right, Plo on the other side, and they don't really interact at all. I did have a moment when I was building this thinking that Plo worked with Ezra because he's a Padawan, but alas, Plo is only Galactic Republic synergy. Partly why I like this squad over other options is, you've got 3 force pushes. You don't want to spend a lot of force on force pushes, but when you have 3, you're going to spike and get some of them for free. So I think it's just a lot of potential control coming out. And Clone Commandos and Rebel Commandos, they've got good damage, although they are lacking shoves individually. I'm just not sure how much I like, say, the ARFs when they're only helping out 2 characters. But yeah, I think it's tricky. This is more of a thought experiment. I'm not saying this squad is amazing and you should be rushing out to try it, but I don't know. It could be interesting, but they're probably... Rebels are relatively Rebel Alliance locked, I think. Okay, so let's move on. Talking about Rebel Alliance, if we really kind of mix things up a bit more, here's what I think you can end up with. So, we lose both of the primaries, we lose both as the supports, and we just keep Sabine and Ezra. So Luke and Mando, I'll get into a little bit in a second. They're just strong characters. Lando and R2-D2 are rebels and scoundrels for support with, the Spectre's abilities and Mando. And then bounty hunters have Payday, which potentially you can use to take advantage of some synergies. And they're also bounty hunters for Mando. But I think this is strong for a couple of reasons. Excuse my camera blocking those words at the bottom, but it's not really that important, is it? So basically the thing I really like about running Mando and Luke together is you can either profit by this or be destroyed and a clan of 2. So basically they both have abilities that let them essentially attack twice on their turn. Mando can even do a little mini force push instead of attacking twice. And I just think having that on both of your leaders is very strong. And when you, say, have a Shatterpoint or when you go with them, you're always going to be able to have a lot of impact with both of these characters and probably do, something really influential on the board. So they're just really strong all-around characters, but I like both of these abilities in particular. So what I'm covering up there is saying Mando has keyword requirements, but it's only Luke who doesn't meet those keyword requirements, so you just need to be careful with him. I think it should be easy enough to play around. So Ezra and Sabine. So synergy with Luke as a Force user, and Sabine has synergy with Mando because he's a Mando. They're both. I think Sabine and Ezra are probably the most just independently good. Maybe Zeb as well is independently good, but I think they're just good characters. They're probably the best Rebel Alliance secondaries at the moment. Well, I say that, but Chewie is coming out soon. as well, so you might want to swap out Chewie. I do really like Ezra though as a character you just drop into Rebel Alliance squads. He definitely has the least kind of dependence on being a Spectre Cell member. But I think these guys are just basically good. And then, yeah, we've already talked about the whole squad. So it is just kind of here's about 6 things I think are good. And then the Bounty Hunters and Lando R2-D2 aren't like amazing, but they fit because of squad point cost and keyword synergy. So I think that'll be a fun squad, and you'll see this run a bit. And I think I will run it, and hopefully will be proven correct that it's good. You know, inspiring final few words on the squad there. But thanks for watching. That was a pretty quick one. I think they're really good. I'm really intrigued to see where they go and what kind of squads they fit into. I wasn't planning on picking up both boxes necessarily, just because there's a lot of stuff coming out, and you know, I want to save pennies a little bit, but they all look really good, so I think I probably will pick them all up, and I'm very excited to get them on the table. So thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts, let me know where you drop them in and out, and you know, give me a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. See ya.